Hello everyone, Peter Smith here. Yesterday I did a little bit of a talk on the gender pay gap, gender wage gap, same thing. And I've been thinking about it and I missed a lot of things. Now, I'm really happy I got this new microphone here. It's like Star Wars. Seems to be working pretty good. Went and got it at PC World, so the sound quality is a bit better. And I'm told the sound quality is the important thing. The visual's not so important. So your visual is you've got a bit of my study behind there and a few books and bits and pieces, a bit of rubbish. Hopefully no one worries too much about that. I've even got a Tasmanian number plate up there. Now, when we're talking about gender pay gap, we're talking about money. Interesting verse in the Bible. You cannot serve God and mammon, or money. And I asked the question, why are you here? Really important question. I struggled with that for years. Why am I here? I was the first in my family to get a university degree, and boy, I studied hard to get that engineering degree. And I left Tasmania and went and worked in Caterpillar in Melbourne. And after about a year, I thought, getting the top of the corporate tree, becoming the CEO or the chairman of the board, you had to give your company your whole life. Everything was for the company. To claw your way up the top of the corporate ladder. I thought, that's not worth it. And then I thought, well, why am I here? Why am I here? And for about 6 years I searched and searched and searched in all the wrong places. And then I started reading the Bible, reading the New Testament. I couldn't make head and tail out of it. It was just might as well be in the original Koine Greek. I just couldn't make head and tail out of it. I gave up about Ephesians or Colossians. And then decided to get married in Scotland, living in Melbourne then. And at my wedding service, the pastor preached on love has no register of wrongs. Hit me like a sledgehammer. That says amazing verse. And 6 weeks later, I became a born-again Christian. I committed my life to Christ and asked him to forgive me my sins and give me the gift of eternal life. The 28th of November, 1980, about 10:30. And I felt the sin come off my back like a rock off my shoulders. It's incredible. And I went out and I'd left the lights on in the company car and the battery had gone flat, and I'd normally sworn and cursed and kicked the car and hurt myself and sworn and cursed a bit more, and I just didn't bother. And I got the car going, got some jumper leads and got it going. And 2 days later I was up in North Queensland with the only businessman I worked with who was a born-again Christian, Colin Lobb. Dear brother in the Lord. I saw him a year or so ago up in Brisbane and had some amazing reminiscences. And he said, Peter, before you got saved, you were a pain in the backside. And when you got saved, you were a pain in the backside for the Lord. That's what I am. So my first priority is serving the Lord. Now, what's your first priority? Is your first priority your career? Well, if your first priority is your career, and you're smart, and you work hard, really hard, and give everything to the company, you might get there. You never know. But if it's not your first priority, they soon work that out. Because, give an example. As I mentioned yesterday, I came in one morning to Caterpillar and I was told, pack your gear and head off up to Darwin, out to the Timor Sea, and don't come back till it's fixed. That's what you did. And when you do that, year after year after year, you sacrifice weeks and months and weekends and holidays and statutory holidays and annual holidays. You work. And if you're getting a good result for the company, you'll get promoted. And if you can get others to work hard and be company men. We used to joke at Caterpillar about getting the yellow injection because all the Caterpillar gear was this bright Caterpillar yellow. And there was a joke that you'd become such a big company man that they'd inject the yellow paint into your blood. So, the yellow injection, all this sort of stuff, And I thought, no, that's not the first priority in my life. But even after I got converted, I used to put a fair amount of work into my job, but not like I did before. And when you do that, you got no chance of getting to the top. So this is the question: what's the first priority in your life? Now I've got a daughter. I've got two wonderful daughters. My elder daughter, she's married with two children, and she's now working part-time because her priority are her children and her husband, you see. And that's why those things work. Now she's just got a promotion and she's going to go back to full-time. I don't know how long that's going to last, but she would really prefer to be doing a lot less work as an occupational therapist. My wife was the same. Once we had children, she didn't work full time, and she was happy about that. And if I could bring in some money, she was quite happy for me to be earning more than her. And if I asked most of the women of the world, if they could land a good husband who was good to them and worked hard and earned a lot of money, more than her, and she got to spend it all and he had a little bit of pocket money, which is usually the way it works, everyone would be quite happy. But the feminists, they cannot bear that idea that you would be dependent upon your husband for money. But that's the way the world's worked for thousands of years. And if women have big families, it's really difficult to hold down this big full-time job unless you're superwoman, and there's not that many superwomen. Not that many supermen either. And mostly men are happy going out earning the bacon, so to speak. And women are generally more happy not having to work full time. When we came back to Scotland, my wife got approached by the physio boss here in Ayr, begging her to come back and work. And she said, well, I'll come back and work after I drop my kids at school, and I'll finish up in time to go and pick them up from school. And that's what she did for a couple of days a week. And that was it. I was out working hard. Now, you got all these different career choices. Now, what would you like to be? Now, in Scandinavia, where the feminists have been pushing gender equality longer than anybody else, it's the most advanced area of the world, if you call that advanced. Anyway, they've been pushing this stuff for decades. And 95% of nurses are women, and 95% of engineers are men, something like that. It might be 90, 95, something like that. Now in communist Russia, you got a lot of women engineers because women can do it. I was a couple of years ago. I was on on the way to Australia, and we landed in Singapore. Qantas landed in Singapore, and this young Indian lady sitting next to me on the plane, going to Oz. And I said to her, you know, I get to chat with people sometimes on the plane, if they're willing to listen, you know, they're happy to listen. And I say, oh, what do you do? Oh, engineer. I thought, good engineer, IT. Oh, yes, going to negotiate some, you know, big contract on something in Melbourne or Sydney somewhere. And bright young lady, you know, and right up to the mark. I thought, no problem, it's good. Now, many years ago I was in New Zealand. Now I did a little comment on the Kiwis and Lauren and Stefan getting their venue cancelled there. And anyway, you might have seen that or might have not. It's up to you if you want to have a look at it. Anyway, I was working with Nippon Denso. I was over in Wellington teaching the Toyota mechanics over there to fit air conditioning in their cars, in Toyota Crown, I think it was. They're nice big. Oh, I took her out for a test drive after in the little narrow windy roads and nearly pranged her, and awful. Just would have been very embarrassing, but it didn't, so it was good. But went round a few Toyota dealers over in Kiwi land, and I found a lady mechanic there. And I says to her, first one I'd seen. That would have been in the late 1970s. And I said to the service manager of the Toyota dealership, well, what's she like? No, I didn't talk in front of her. I just said, what's she like? He said, oh, she's good. She doesn't break stuff. And I thought, good. See, a lot of mechanics, they're just too strong and they no sensitivity and they break stuff. And she was good because she didn't break stuff. You know, she liked doing it. She didn't mind having dirty hands and grease and oil all over her. You know, she didn't mind. It was great. And here in Ayr at one of the tyre places, I saw a lady working on the car, changing tyres and stuff, and you know, covered in dirt and black. And she seemed to like it. It was fine. But not many women like to do that. And the other thing, how many lady bricklayers are there? Now, when I go to a church and preach, I haven't had many chances lately. It must have woken up to me. I don't know what it is, but I was over in Pennsylvania, in the US. My former pastor was pastoring a church there. His son had the good fortune to marry my oldest daughter. And there you go. So he had me come and speak there, and you know, you shake hands with people when you go out, you know, and rough hands. Oh, these farmers and labourers, rough hands. Wonderful place. Loved it. They set the church schedule around the hunting and the fishing season, because once the deer season started, there's no one there. They were all out getting the freezers full of deer meat, and when they let the rainbow trout go in the river, they were all out catching these trout. So you couldn't do much church at that time. So Foster had to, you know, work the schedule a bit differently. A bit different here in the UK. It's not quite as good as that. So bricklayers. Not too many ladies are bricklayers because it knocks your hands about. Most ladies have got quite soft hands. No sandpaper hands there, you know. So you don't get a lot of talk about, we need more lady bricklayers. We need more lady mechanics. We need more lady sewerage workers. Or repairmen up the electricity pylons, or more lady workers out on the oil rigs. You don't hear much about that. We need more ladies in dangerous occupations. I was watching this video the other day, and they said that lots of women in the US Navy and the British Navy. I'm a little bit against those sorts of things, but anyway, Anyway, there's these women. There's only been one woman sailor killed in the US Navy, I think, ever. Where's the equality there? Normally the men are getting killed. But you don't hear about that so much. You don't hear about the feminists wanting women working in the really dangerous jobs. And sometimes you need sheer brute force and strength to do a job, like throwing up hay bales on a truck on a farm like I used to do. Now the ladies, now if you get some of those Russian shot put ladies from the Olympics, they can do it. But there's not many ladies like that. There's some, but not that many. In the outback of Australia you'll find a few. And I mean, I played grass hockey at uni, and some of the ladies played hockey. Oh, they were tough ladies. Oh, you wouldn't cross them, I'll tell you. But not that many ladies like that. Now, just to do a bit of research, I looked up Wikipedia. Left-wing sort of encyclopedia type thing on the internet. And gender pay gap is listed under discrimination, along with apartheid and internment and Jim Crow and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, oh, there you go. They've assumed it's all discrimination. And yes, there is discrimination. Now, when I worked at Nippon Denso, I used to employ a secretary, who was also a typist, and a typist. I had two ladies. And I had some wonderful young ladies work there. But what used to happen, one morning one of them would come up to me all beaming and smiles and would say, "Oh, Peter, I'm pregnant. I'll be leaving soon." And I'd go, "Oh, congratulations," and trying to look happy and, congratulations. "Oh, here we go. I've got to get another one, employ another one and get her trained and work out how so she can work out how to do everything and all the rest of it." So eventually, I employed Lillian, whose youngest child was 23 years old. And I knew that Lillian would never come up to me with that big smile one morning and say, "I'm pregnant." So yes, I used to discriminate. Because why are you going to train up somebody and just get them up to speed with doing the job, and they come up and smile at you and go, "I'm pregnant, I'm leaving"? You can't run an organisation like that. It just doesn't work. And if women have lots of kids, which would be great, see, we're running out of children. There is not enough children to keep the oldies going in the developed world now. That's why we're bringing all these immigrants in. I don't know if that's going to work, but that's another subject. So on this Wikipedia thing, I found out something very interesting. In the UK, women aged 22 to 29, between 2006 and 2013, were earning £1,111 more than men. You never hear the feminists complaining about that. And you see, the problem comes when women get to their late 20s, because then they've got to decide, are we going to have babies? And that's the problem. You see, if women didn't have babies, they could really compete with men. But when women have babies, most of them put the priority on the children. And if they didn't do that, we would be extinct. Because you need mothers that care for their children. And the men and the husbands to protect them. That's the traditional system. But no, not with the feminists and all the equality and all the rest of it. Now, when my mother got married, 1947, she was dismissed from a job because she got married. Now, I think that was a bit tough. That was a bit hard. And I know in places like Japan they haven't paid women that much because they generally get married and have babies, not many babies, but some, and leave. And that's traditionally how things have gone. But it's a balance. How? And I mean, my elder daughter here, she's desperate to just do part-time. And it's so difficult for women to do part-time. Now, my wife just told me about one of her physio colleagues who had the most amazing deal. She only ever worked when her kids were at school, not during school holidays, not before they, she took them off to school, went to work, left work and picked them up from school, and that's the only time she worked. And most women with children would like to do that. And unless we start having things like that, we're going to be in real trouble, because women are under so much pressure to have these jobs and careers. Apparently in Germany, it's unbelievable. When you have a baby, you're meant to go firstly straight back to work. It's horrendous, and have this career and all the rest of it, and be competing with men. And you see, when you get a level playing field with women competing with men, and if the government doesn't interfere, men normally come out on top. Now, physically, the whole thing could be decided just so easily. We could do the Olympics and put all the men and women in together. And then we could see how much equality there was. Because I don't think the women would win a gold medal hardly anywhere, or a silver or bronze or anything. Because men are usually stronger than women. It's just reality. You just got to look at men and women. Not the wimpy men, but ordinary men and women. They're quite different. So we need more babies because we're not having enough babies. That's why we have an ageing population in this country and all the developed world. And see, that's what the UN comes up with, ageing populations. Well, yes it is, but the reality really is not enough babies. We haven't had enough babies. Ever since the advent of the contraceptive pill and the IUD and abortion on demand, the birth rate has just tanked. We're just not having enough kids. And it's a problem. Because once you don't have many kids, it gets hard to get some more. I'll tell you a little story about a Chinese diplomat at the UN. He'd been avoiding me a little bit, and I eventually cornered him because the meeting ended 20 minutes early. And I jumped on him as soon as the meeting was gavelled to a close, and I was right there, right beside him. And, could I have a little talk with you, Mr. So-and-so? Oh, no, I've got another meeting. He lied to me right to my face. I said, you can't have another meeting. The meeting was closed 20 minutes early. No one knew it was going to be done 20 minutes early until it happened. There's no way you've got another meeting. But I said it diplomatically and kindly. And then we sat down and had a little chat. It was very interesting. He's an only child. One-child policy in China. His wife's an only child. Now, he's a diplomat, so he's sort of up the system, He gets a wife, no problem, you see. Because not that many wives to get in China. It's difficult because the one-child policy. A lot of the baby girls get aborted, and so it's hard for some people to get a wife, but he's got a wife, you see. They've got a baby and got a son, you see. And the mother-in-law's there helping look after the baby, and he's working full-time at the Chinese mission, and his wife's working part-time with the Chinese mission, and it's going good. And the Chinese have just realised they're running out of people. And they need a few more people. And the Chinese Communist government just changed the one-child policy. So if you're an only child and your wife's an only child, you can have 2 children. Isn't that great? Now, I'd heard about this. And I'd said to the previous Chinese delegate, no, just because you change the rules doesn't mean you're going to get 2 kids with every. Oh, yes, he says, oh, we'll get 2. And I thought, no, I don't think so. So I told this chap, I said, oh, you've got a permit, you got a permit to have a second baby. Oh, yes, he says. What happened when you asked your wife about it? Have a guess. No, thanks. She's already got a son. He'll look after him in their old age. That's it. Now you see, they've got no brothers and sisters, no cousins, there's no uncle and aunts. It's a strange existence. China, with all this one-child policy stuff. And people, once you get out of the habit of it, having babies, a lot of people don't want to go through the trouble because it's hard work. It's hard work, sleepless nights. You know, I can remember, oh dear, I wake up one morning, I think the bed's crowded and one of my daughters would be over the other side beside my wife. She'd have crept into bed with her and all this sort of stuff, and especially if it's thundered or anything. But no, probably embarrassed. Hope they don't watch this, they'll be embarrassed, you know. But it's hard work being a parent. They get sick and things happen and they get upset and this happens and that happens. It's hard work. If anyone's been a parent, it's hard work. And once we had there's an unwritten agreement that basically everyone had kids. That was the system once. Now with feminism and all the rest of it, and all this overpopulation nonsense, I'm going to be talking about that soon, overpopulation. The world's not overpopulated, but we'll talk about that another time. We need more babies. And that, I believe, is a bigger priority than people trying to get to the top of the corporate tree or whatever organisation they're in. I mean, you only need 100 leaders of the top 100 companies in the country. You know, and it was 7. Apparently it's 7. There's 7 women at the top of these organisations. But do most women want it? I don't think they do. They got more brains. They give a little more priority to their family and the kids and the husband and all sorts of other things. They might even give more time to God. You know? Or other things they do. I mean, I've got different hobbies. I go fishing. I've gone fishing. Now you see, if I was a high flyer trying to get to the top of the corporate, I can go fishing. You couldn't do those sorts of things. You got to be slugging it away at work all the time. So that's just a few other things that I was thinking about with this gender pay gap. And I've seen some women on YouTube, and they're saying it's not a priority for women. It's a priority for a minuscule number of these radical feminists that want to get some fake equality, and they want to get the government to interfere in all these companies. Now, once you've employed somebody, and it's a matter of promotion, it's up to the company who they promote, because they're paying the money, not the government. And it's no business of the government to be interfering with how companies operate. It's a nonsense. Now these radical feminists, they'll be wanting quotas on these things and affirmative action and all this rubbish, absolute rubbish. And they'll kill these companies if they start doing that thing. You've got to have the best person for the job doing the top jobs. And as I said before, if you don't do the best job when you're at the top, you're out the door in a flash. And that's how it works. So, thank you very much. It was nice to share with you again. God bless you.